Will you please welcome Kelly Taylor?
I had breakfast with some of your wives this morning, and they asked me when was I on the schedule this morning, and I said, well, I think it's early in the program, but thank goodness I'm not following Mr. McManus. You know, what are you going to do? Asking a woman to tell anybody anything in 20 minutes is quite a request after all, but and being a Texan on top of that, we talk slow. But since I have to talk fast, I will go ahead. As you'll see from the first slide, the title of my speech, I've jokingly called, "Oh well, I wasn't using my Texas heritage anyway," and that is not a joke. I am first and foremost a Texan. Before I'm an American, I'm a Texan, a fifth-generation West Texan, which is hard to beat. Our Texas heritage is at stake, and I'm so thankful to have an opportunity to talk with you. I know you know the dangers, but the stakes are very high here with this corridor and exactly what it means. We're going to give a short review about the Trans-Texas Corridor and then some updates on what has happened in the Texas legislature this year. Now, for the Yankees in the room who don't know, Texas is a little bit unusual in that our legislature only meets every other year. So thank goodness. It just met this year. It will not meet again until January of '09. So we have 14 or 15 months to do some work, and I'm going to give y'all some jobs to do. Okay. Everybody has seen this map, but it serves as a reminder, since you're going to hear a lot about the North American Union today, you need to understand the importance of the highway. And I might add here, this Trans-Texas Corridor is one of 80 corridors that are planned across the country for the integration of the three. NAFTA is a necessary trade component for the integration of the countries, and it must have infrastructure to accommodate all that trade traffic. If you're going to study this issue, you need to know some basics. NASCO is an acronym for North America's Super Corridor Coalition. This is a front page of an advertising supplement that they published some years ago. You'll see right on the left in the yellow shading. Now, my PowerPoint skills are pretty elementary, but take my word for it, and you can visit some of these websites yourself. They call the transportation network something that runs through the heart of trade at the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. NASCO is a tri-national, nonprofit coalition of member states, cities, and departments of transportation dedicated to increasing economic activity and promoting transportation along the corridor, according to their own website. It is a key player in developing transportation policy, but is not accountable to voters. And members, especially at the state level, are using public funds for membership in this private organization. Do not underestimate the influence of NASCO in this battle against the corridor. The next slide will show you a couple of NASCO's own maps. The first one on the left, you can kind of see some shading running up through the center of the country, some yellow arrows. The basic trade route that they intend to cover with the corridor. The slide on the bottom right shows overlays of rail and road connectors that are going to integrate all these corridors together. Now, if you can see real good, which I can't, there's sort of a hub of stuff connecting and conglomerating in the middle of that second map, which is the Kansas City Smartport. So you can see how all that trade route traffic is concentrated there at that port. It's hard to imagine the scope of the proposed highway system, since we have never seen anything like this and we don't have anything with which to compare it, including the funding and legislative requirements. As part of NAFTA, it is not meant to serve people, but as a conduit for Chinese slave goods to facilitate illegal immigration and for erasing our borders. It is also the largest eminent domain taking ever in U.S. history. In Texas, that means 584,000 Texas acres. The proposed route is right through the heart of, I missed a slide here. This is from TxDOT's website. You can see the shaded area. Anywhere in that shaded area is TxDOT's proposed place where the corridor might go. The blue line suggests where they're likely to put it, and some construction has already happened there. I'm going to leave that up a little bit for y'all to cogitate. Being Texans, knowing how big the state is of Texas, 254 counties, just how many are affected by this corridor. Now, note that it runs right through Texas' prime agricultural acreage. This will cripple Texas' second largest industry, which is agriculture. And it's huge. Modern interstates are about 300 to 400 feet wide. This corridor is expected to be 1,200 feet wide. It will be fenced with no frontage roads, no free alternatives, and no on-off ramps. The contract, of course, as you know, has gone to Cintra, the Spanish company in Madrid. And this frightening fact: consider the implications of having all critical infrastructure concentrated in one place. Anybody who wanted to take out the water or communications routes would also take out transportation and electricity. Now that's just stupid if you're thinking about security. Okay, some updates. What happened in the 2007 Texas legislature? After a heated legislative session, lawmakers delivered House Bill 1892 to Governor Perry. That's the infamous 2-year Trans-Texas Corridor moratorium bill that you all heard about. It would have stopped the Trans-Texas Corridor in its tracks. It just was going to stop construction and everything. It had passed the Texas House by a vote of 139 to 1, with a similar Senate breakdown. Governor Perry vetoed it. Now mind that many of the Texas legislators were responding to constituent pressure because people are outraged over this corridor if they know about it. Perry threatened a special session unless a compromise was reached. Now, anybody who's lived in Texas long enough knows what special session means. You just about rather cut your throat than have to do that. Here's what he had to say about House Bill 1892 in his public statement. That it invited reduction in federal transportation dollars. It served to break up the highway system by allowing local control, God forbid, and inhibited TxDOT's ability to use comprehensive development agreements. Now, I need to explain to you what that is. We're going to call that CDA, so I don't have to say it so much. A CDA is nothing but a public-private partnership, and throughout all transportation discourse, that is known as 3P. It's just it's a euphemism for fascism is what it is. Using private funds invested in public infrastructure. No one really is opposed to conventional toll roads, but this is not it. This private investment from the Spanish company is allowing the Spanish company or any foreign company to have control over our infrastructure. The compromise bill did not affect the overarching comprehensive development agreement because it had already been executed. However, within that agreement, there are smaller facility agreements that are contracted and executed as needed for individual projects. The compromise bill, Senate Bill 792, was able to inhibit some of those smaller facility agreement contracts. After Perry vetoed this bill, the compromise bill was passed, and it also served as a victory in many ways, and one of them was this, ironically. There were some exemptions to the bill, and one of them was for the Highway 121 project here. That was really a victory because it did allow the local municipality to take the contract back from Cintra. This is a good model for what to do if a toll road project comes to your town that is funded with a CDA or a public-private partnership. The end of all that is that Trans-Texas Corridor 35 is not affected at all. Trans-Texas Corridor 69, which runs along the Gulf Coast from Brownsville along the coast through Louisiana, has been severely hobbled because the facility agreements cannot be finished. Only for another 14 months till we start over in January of 2009. No new contracts can happen, so we've got a little break there, but not much. Perry also vetoed a bill protecting property owners from eminent domain takings. This is your Republican governor. Look what he had to say about that. He claimed that the bill would cause the state to overpay for land it required through eminent domain. House Bill 2006, this bill, had passed with 125 of 150 House votes and unanimously in the state Senate, again due to constituent pressure. But Perry ignored his instructions and vetoed it anyway. He also vetoed a bill introduced by Representative Lois Colkhorst of Brenham, who's been a friend of the Society and a friend of corridor opposition. Here is her bill. Okay. You'll see a little bit of bolded text there, if it's easy enough to read. It would have forced the Texas Attorney General to examine any agreement between Texas and any foreign country or company or entity. In other words, it would have forced the Attorney General to examine NAFTA and the North American Union and all the documents. Perry vetoed that. I cannot help but think how helpful that would have been in dealing with the Jose Medellin case if we had that now. Another thing that happened, if you don't know about that, there's a short blurb in the front pages of the most recent New American about that case and how it's being affected by the International Criminal Court and George Bush. One other thing that happened, the TxDOT ad campaign. TxDOT launched an ad campaign of $9 million taxpayer dollars to promote the Trans-Texas Corridor. Now, Texas statutes prohibit any state agency from taking a position on an issue. By launching this ad campaign, TxDOT is violating state law by taking a side. There's currently a lawsuit pending against TxDOT for that action, so that might turn out to be a bit of a victory, but just so you know how rogue TxDOT really is. In July 18th through 20th in Austin, TxDOT hosted a Texas Transportation Forum. It was a gathering of transportation leaders, Eastern money interests, corporate types, engineers, contractors, and many other stakeholders, all except the biggest stakeholder, which is you, to discuss the future of transportation in Texas. Bob Dacey, who's the host of the talk show that I produce, and I attended as press representatives. One hot issue was TxDOT's admission that it had made a mistake about transparency, or not telling us what was up, and it pledged to overcome this problem. Yet, out of the other side of its mouth, access to this forum was strictly controlled, and press coverage were not properly credentialed, and they made it very hard for us to get in. And finally, we were denied access, and the New American helped us get in. It was horrible. It was horrible getting those credentials. What I want to ask you is, how can everything in a project of this scope have been hidden from you? Well, it was fast-tracked because Perry told the Texas Transportation Commission to take the corridor out of mainstream politics and make it policy. For those of you who don't know, the Texas Constitution severely limits the governor's power, and he's not really supposed to even do anything. Kind of like the president. But, oh well. Kind of makes you ashamed to be a Texan, doesn't it? Also in TxDOT's sites at the forum was how to get Texans to go along with 3P and how to structure them. This book was given out to attendees at the conference, and it's called Open for Business, Open for Faster Project Delivery. One of the pages inside here promotes the CDA, how to structure comprehensive development agreements and get the public to go along with it. This inside page describes Texas solicitation of private funds. The Royal Bank of Scotland was in attendance at this forum and stated that there are over $700 billion in equity funds out there looking for safe harbor. And they sort of taunted all the attendees by saying, if it doesn't go to Texas, it'll go somewhere else. Nyeh. Pension funds provide the largest source of investment dollars for these projects. That's frightening to me. And this was by their own admission. A third matter pressed by Easterners was that Texas is being watched in Washington and will supply the model for how to promote the superhighway in the rest of the country. Thankfully, our neighbors, this is one place where the Aggie Longhorn and the Aggie OU rivalry takes a back seat to what we're all doing here. We hope to give y'all a break so you don't have to worry about this in Oklahoma, but we need help. If that wasn't enough, the most outrageous revelation is that Texas intends to toll interstates as part of the TTC project. Another book that was distributed was this Forward Momentum, TxDOT's report to the 110th Congress. It announced plans to use the interstate buyback system allowed by SAFE-T, which you've heard a lot about. That's an acronym for Safe, Accountable, Flexible, Efficient Transportation Equity Act. Well, I can't even say that many big words. How can you understand it? This page outlines TxDOT's plan. It is currently illegal to toll interstates, but Texas proposed to buy its interstates back from the federal government for the purpose of releasing them from the prohibition, thereby making them tollable. So that means as a Texan, you've paid 3 times so far for the road. Once to build it, once as a Texan to buy it back, and third time with tolls to drive on it. Kay Bailey Hutchison has introduced legislation to put a 1-year moratorium on the scheme. That was a couple of months ago, so I guess we have 10 months left. There's not a lot of time here, so I'm urging you to take action on these issues. In September, WorldNet, there's her legislation. WorldNet Daily, after all that, reported that Texas and top officials in the Bush administration plan to extend the corridor into Mexico, connecting with the western deepwater ports on the Pacific, creating a trans-North America corridor. Plans include an inland port at Monterey, much like the one in Kansas City, and Mexico plans to extend the highway south into Colombia. So much for NASCO's claim that there's no NAFTA superhighway. Take that, Mr. Chris Hayes of The Nation. What you can do here. 4 small towns in East Texas have Rogers, Holland, Bartlett, and Little River Academy. These are tiny little places. Have formed a regional planning commission to oppose the corridor. Texas local government code requires TxDOT to work with local groups before land is taken or before construction begins, which the agency did not do. The environmental protection studies can also be rejected because TxDOT didn't coordinate with local government. And these little towns are forming a coalition to prevent their doing that by Texas' own laws. Any county or city or water district can make the same request. So if you know anybody, or if you yourself are in the path of this corridor, pay attention to the things these people are doing. Pay attention to the 121 model and find out what happened, because you can use this or urge it to be used in any future project you know about. Our great friends across the Red River are mounting some serious opposition. Give them your help. Finally, this is the big one, in my mind, I think. Representative Coldcourse, and she's from Brenham, Bluebell Ice Cream and all that, is on the Texas Sunset Commission. That's a 12-member commission that was established many years ago by the legislature to review state agencies and determine if they're doing their job, if they need to be restructured, or even if they need to be abolished. TxDOT's turn for review is this year, and Lois Coldcourse is on the commission. So I'm urging you to, once again, the answer is always with your representative. Please make yourself on a first-name basis with your representative and find out, urge him or her to follow the hearings in Austin about the Sunset Commission and put pressure on the commission to rein in TxDOT. They are absolutely out of control. The chair of the commission this year is Carl Isett of Lubbock, if anybody here is from Lubbock. I can't tell you enough how important a factor constituent pressure was in the victories that were gained this year. People, even if they don't understand the North American Union or NAFTA or the superhighway or all that, they're mad. They're mad. And they made themselves known and got their voices heard with their representatives, and constituent pressure made the difference. We have a lot of work still to do. And please, if you don't know your state rep, get to know them, him or her. As was revealed in the Transportation Forum in July, Washington is scared about what happened, and they flat said so, that they're worried about it. They're watching what happens, and I believe that means they're going to reapply pressure more and harder. So pressure them back. Considering the successes that we had with constituent demands, we can't ignore how useful that was. Now, just a reminder, because this is kind of personal and close to home to me. This is a photo of a toll. Is this huge or what? It's a toll plaza on one of the connectors that will, it's already, by now, it was not open when this photo was taken, but it is in operation now. It's a connector to the main Trans-Texas corridor east of I-35, which is parts of which are under construction and in operation. This one is 5 miles from my very own front door. I see it every day. So don't think you're going to escape this. You must help us. So I think my time is out. And did I make it? Great. Okay. Thank you very much.